بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 6th episode in this Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ as we walk through his life. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa sharafa wa qarrama wa baraka wa azam wa sahabati wa tabi'in wa tabi'in bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin wa alayna ma'hum fi kulli lamhatin wa nafsin adad ma wasiyahum Allah amma ba'd. We left the Seerah, the biography of the Prophet ﷺ at the age of 8, and now he is under the care of Abu Talib, his uncle, the real brother of Abdullah, his father. In this session we'll be looking at the Prophet ﷺ going from the age of 8 till 12, till 13, till 20, and all the events that took place in his biography at these moments. To begin with, the Prophet ﷺ now is under the guardianship, under the care of Abu Talib, his uncle, and one who loved him extremely so much, extremely more than himself, more than his other children that he had, because with the Prophet ﷺ there was a lot of barakah. The uncle of the Prophet ﷺ was of very little wealth, but he had many children, and whenever they sat down to eat, it was only when the Prophet ﷺ was amongst them sitting down to eat, they would have barakat, they would have blessings in the food on the table, and they would have abundance to eat. This was not only noticed by Abu Talib, but by everyone through every stage of the Prophet ﷺ's life. Everybody noticed this barakah. So in Abu Talib's house, none, and they would be trained that none would touch the food until the Prophet ﷺ was around. Amongst others in the community, they knew the Prophet ﷺ was so blessed that if there was a drought period, they would get the Prophet ﷺ to circumambulate the Kaaba, to go around the Kaaba, and would push his back against the Kaaba, such that then rain and clouds would come and the heavens would burst forth with rain. So from such a young age they knew he was not like any other. This is all to be seen throughout the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Moving on. Now, the Prophet ﷺ at the age of 12, the Prophet ﷺ coming up between the ages of 8 to 12, he would not be like any other children. Children would go out to play, nicely dressed in the morning, nicely hair combed. They would go out, come back dirty, sweaty, smelly from all their physical activities that they did outside. The Prophet ﷺ was not like that. When he went, he was in the best of states, and when he returned, he was in the best of states. No dirt, no signs of that dirtiness that you can associate with other kids, but he was like as if he went to like a Turkish baths and came back all nicely groomed, and he was in the best of states throughout his whole appearance, and in his clothes, and in his smell. That's how it was the Prophet ﷺ at that young age. So already we can see there's something really special about the Prophet ﷺ. Carrying on, the Prophet ﷺ at the age of 12 now, Abu Talib, he would never take any of his children when he would go on a journey, but on this occasion the Prophet ﷺ said he wanted to come, and Abu Talib, he wanted to go on take a caravan to go on business trip to Sham, and he was already starting to ponder, how can I leave and be apart from the Prophet ﷺ. So this was in his mind already, but the Prophet ﷺ wanted to come, so this made it easier for him, and he kind of said that even though he had a longing for the Prophet ﷺ, that he wanted to take him. He said that, oh look, the Prophet, he wants to come, Muhammad wants to come with me, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he used that and to take him as an excuse. And so it was that they went on that expedition. Now it was the first time for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to leave Makkah, and this trip turned out to be a short trip, as we will see, but this was with the caravan of the Prophet, of his uncle Abu Talib, and this was going to Sham. So on that way, when they reached a place called Busra, here there lived a Jewish monk or Jewish rabbi by the name of Bahirah, and here every time he would see a Qurayshi caravan, from the Quraysh caravan, going back and forth, as this was on the way to Sham for business trading. And you see this every time, and he would not pay attention to it, as there was nothing. A man of Allah as he was, a man of God, Bahirah, he would pay little attention. But on this one occasion, as he was noticing a caravan go past, which had the Prophet ﷺ in it, he noticed that the clouds were following one particular person, nobody else, but as soon as he moved, the clouds moved with him, giving him the shade from that scorching desert sun. Another thing is, when they did stop and there was a place of trees around them, the trees that had leaves on this side would suddenly come and cover him under the shade on this side. This was what he was noticing about this particular person. So he, knowing from the scriptures about such signs, being a man of God, man of Allah, from all these previous scriptures that he was learned in, he invited them for a feast. So Abu Talib came with his caravan for that feast and accepted that dinner invitation. They came, and as they were coming, the Prophet ﷺ was entrusted with giving the camels the water to drink in the stables, and that's where the Prophet ﷺ was. So when they came, they were all there except the Prophet ﷺ, who was in the stables. And here Bahirah was certain that the person he saw was not here, and he said, surely there must be someone more, you're missing somebody. And this is where Abu Talib then said, yes, we have a boy in the ghulam in the stables giving the camels to drink water. So he said, yes, he's the one I want. And as soon as he came, the first thing that Bahirah did was go and search the back of the Prophet ﷺ and look for that seal that I said was imprinted when the splitting of the chest was done. And he saw that seal, and he testified, he bore witness. Now this is just not the testification of him, but testifying on behalf of the whole books that came from before, the Torah, the Injil, all that books that he learnt about, the signs were in there. This is a testification of all the books showing that they had signs in those books, saying the description of the Prophet ﷺ and the signs of what he would be like. So this was a full testification, proving that the other books also mentioned the last messenger to come, even though they want to cover it up. So Bahirah, now he told Abu Talib that, look, you're on your way to Sham, now the Romans are there, and if they know that who this person is, and I'm telling you this is that final prophet sent to the whole of mankind, this final prophet has been written in the previous scriptures, I fear for him, and they will try to hurt him and harm him. So Abu Talib, he grew fearful, and therefore this journey was cut short. He did not go for that business trip and complete it, but instead returned back to Makkah. So this was the first journey of the Prophet ﷺ at the age of 12. Carrying on till the age of 13 now, the Prophet ﷺ, like the other prophets, they all took up the profession of being a shepherd. In it, Allah SWT wanted to train his prophets, all those that he were chosen for a message, to give a message. He wanted to train them through the art of shepherding. So there's a lot to learn from that, and it gets you with nature, it gets you in that environment that there's a lot of pondering to be done, and a lot of things you can see, and you can see lessons in life from. So this was the Prophet ﷺ at the age of 13, earning some sum of money for being with the shepherds, as all previous prophets did. Around this time as well, the Prophet ﷺ, he, on the way back from shepherding sheep once, he heard music, he heard a lot of happy sounds and voices. So as was man women, they have the natural desires to listen. When they hear something, they go and try and see what it is about. So he went close to this place, the source of where this was coming from, and it was a wedding that was going on. So the Prophet ﷺ was going to that thing, just like any others would. So this is to show that the Prophet ﷺ was not an angel. He had desires as well, he had feelings as well. So here's the Prophet ﷺ going to take that step. He is like us, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is a man like the rest of us, except that he has perfected him, where this distinction comes. So he went to this this marriage thing that was taking place, and this wedding event where songs were going on. There's obviously wine in there and everything. So, but the Prophet was on that step to going there. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him as he would, and he fell asleep. And when he woke up, this whole event was over and done with, because it become sunset. And obviously now sunset, in those times you have to remember there was no lamps and lights and how we have today with electricity. So he was saved from such an incident where there was things that are of bad nature going on. Then the Prophet ﷺ now at the age of 20, this is now where the Prophet ﷺ, he is going to be witnessing a war. He'll be taking part in a war, and this is the Harb Fijaar, the war of this disobedience that happened. And as we're now coming into the end of Dhul Qa'dah and the beginning of Dhul Hijjah soon, it is this time that this event took place, because we are in the sacred months. May Allah make us realize what the sacred months is about, so we know how to benefit from them. And in these sacred months, even pre-Islam, in Jahiliyyah period, they knew that these months were sacred, as Allah has made 4: Muharram, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, all of them together, the 11th, 12th, and the first month, as well as Rajab, that comes before Sha'ban and Ramadan. So here, these sacred months, the Arabs knew in that time that they would stop and not fight. Even if they're in the fiercest of battles, they would not fight in this month. But on this occasion, in this sacred month of one of the sacred months, a man from one tribe killed a man from another tribe, and this was then that led up to the Prophet ﷺ's uncles and the Quraysh siding with one side against one of the other sides. And this was that war that the Prophet ﷺ participated in, and this was not in terms of fighting, but he was picking up the arrows that were strewn across the battlefield, and he would go and collect them and bring them back to his side. So this is one thing that the Prophet ﷺ saw at the age of 20. Furthermore, then there was the Hilf al-Fudhool, this pact, this treaty that happened because Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, his father As, he was a rich man, and he saw an opportunity where a stranger came to Makkah and he was selling goods. So As took the goods from this person but did not pay him back for that value of those goods. So that man, now a stranger in Makkah, he went to the Quraysh leaders and he complained, this is injustice done against me. So when Zubair, the Prophet's uncle as well, amongst the other uncles, when they heard this, and we should know that the Prophet's grandfathers, his uncles, all his lineage of back going up, they would never accept injustice, and this was injustice, this was oppression, and they wanted to reject this. So they made this pact that they would always reject oppression that happened in their city amongst their own family, kin, or not for any people, and that's the pact that they agreed on this. The Prophet ﷺ was present in this moment in the house of Jud'an that it took place, and he even later on in life said that this was because it is from the Prophet ﷺ's he was that he was sent to complete the excellent mode of the conduct and etiquettes. He was there to perfect it and complete it. So this is amongst that to reject oppression, to not be unjust to others, and to not usurp or take from others' wealth, or even the children, the poor orphans' wealth as well. So this is parts of completing akhlaq and completing the highest modes of excellency in etiquettes. And the Prophet ﷺ said that if this is to reject oppression is better than humr ni'am, is better than the red camel, and that is the most expensive source of wealth you can have, and this is better than that. So this is now at the age of 20, and then if we were to carry on, this will then lead on to now a woman, a billionaire in that time of Arabia by the name of Khadija bint Khuwaylid, who then now enters this seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, his life, and takes center stage in episode 7, who becomes the beloved of our beloved, the Prophet ﷺ. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.